Hello, I'm Marty Norris, the International Pool Girl. In today's video, we will be discussing pool safety with the pool chemical chlorine. And if you like the content that you are learning, please make sure to like or subscribe to our channel. Yesterday in the national news in the US, there was an article about 5 people from the same family who were hospitalized due to working with pool chemicals inside of their residence. As someone who has now been in the pool industry for more than 13 years, they most likely combined chlorine tablets or chlorine sticks with chlorine shock, which is a much higher concentration of chlorine in a pellet form, and did it inside their residence. The chemical reaction and the chlorine gas that they inhaled was very strong, and it landed 5 people in the hospital. The national news article didn't state which chemicals were combined. But as experienced pool professionals, we knew what most likely had happened. In the article, the writer stated that more than 13,000 injuries take place every year in the US alone from the improper handling of pool chemicals. When working with pool chemicals, you need to always follow these rules. Only open chemical containers outside in a well-ventilated room. As we have a physical location where we park the vehicles and store the chemicals, we always open any containers and even smaller specialty chemical boxes in the warehouse of our office, not in the front where we have our offices. We occasionally open lids in our warehouse just to confirm what the chemical is, but we would not ever combine anything indoors. With swimming pools, the biggest risk is a chlorine gas inhalation or small chemical explosion if the smaller doses are combined with the heavier concentrations of chlorine. If you combine these 2 chemicals in the pool, then that isn't an issue, but only if you add an extra large amount of chlorine shock, which is a higher concentration of chlorine. The type of explosion is usually going to be the release as a strong smell of chlorine gas, and it is very strong. Pool chemicals should be stored inside a well-ventilated area, or if stored outside, make every effort to keep the lids on tightly so they are not exposed to water. When pool chemicals, specifically chlorine tablets, get wet and they are left in the water, and then the lid put back on them, that is when chlorine gas is an issue. When stating chlorine, we mean any form of chlorine. Chlorine tabs, like hockey pucks, chlorine sticks, and chlorine shock, which is a much higher concentration of chlorine. The chlorine gas is emitted when the lid is taken off when the wet chlorine has been sitting in the water in an enclosed container. The initial inhalation of the chlorine is what is the most dangerous, especially the shock to the lungs. Even when inhaling chlorine gas outside, it is still very strong. When not carefully controlled, then it can be very dangerous. If your chlorine tabs get water in them, carefully remove the lid outside and then drain off the water in the container. Once the water is removed, then let the remaining chlorine tabs dry out. They will then be kind of yellowish, and still have a strong smell, but it will not be as strong as the chlorine gas. These are just the basic rules to follow when working with chlorine. As pool professionals, we are very careful to follow these rules, and when necessary, wear the appropriate mask to avoid unnecessary injury. When care is taken, then accidents and injury will generally be avoided. And if you have any questions regarding anything, please make sure to just send us your comments and we will be happy to respond. Until our next video, goodbye.